Regardless of where you live in South Dakota, neighbors look after each other. When people work together, there's no limit to what a community can accomplish. Welcome to Dakota Life. We're hosting this episode from Smet, the little town on the prairie. Working together was a matter of survival when Charles Ingalls and his family came to Smet with the railroad in 1879. And that spirit of helping each other keeps this community vibrant today. The town name honors Pierre Smet, a Jesuit missionary who worked in the area during the 19th century. Smet is the Kingsbury County seat and has a population just over 1,000. If you need evidence that the residents here are innovative, well, look no further than the local newspaper. Just weeks after facing the loss of the Smet News and the Lake Preston Times, a small group got together and bought both papers. SDPB's Brian Gevick has a look at the brand new Kingsbury Journal and the volunteers that keep it going.
Smet had a newspaper almost from the day it was founded in 1880 until April 1st, 2020. Like all towns, Smet changed over time. Like a lot of rural towns, those changes haven't often been for the better in terms of amenities and small business opportunities.
Local retailers have struggled for years to provide the goods and services that their community really needs. And it's become harder and harder for them every year. And it became harder and harder for us.
But Blagan did keep the Smet paper going. He also kept the newspaper in neighboring Lake Preston going, but the time came for Blagan to retire. He offered to sell his buildings in both towns and offered the newspapers as part of the bargain. There were inquiries, but no takers until the Smet Community Foundation stepped in.
That's when we began to look at ways that we could acquire the newspaper for the community and to have it held in some public benefit corporation. Part of that investigation was hearing the stories about how important these various things are, and that caused a lot of us to think about just the importance of a newspaper and the role it plays in democracy. It's a good thing to have someone there at a city council meeting or a county commission meeting or a school board meeting just to record what's happening and make sure that the word gets out about those things.
They decided to close the Lake Preston office and publish one paper instead of two. They knew that it wasn't going to be easy. They knew they needed a new business model. Kingsbury Journal editor Donna Palmland has to have the paper done and put to bed on Tuesday because it gets printed in Madison every Wednesday. That makes Tuesday the busiest day of the week for Palmland and the writing staff. You wouldn't know it by looking around the newsroom.
There are every week between 15 and 20 different people who work on the paper. They're all volunteers, with the exception of Donna here. And they're collaborating as we speak, either from their place of work or some of them from their home, all on their computers.
Some in the community had to be convinced that volunteer journalists would be up for the job of gathering, writing, and publishing serious news.
It's more like a volunteer fire department. The people that are involved in those volunteer fire departments, they have to be trained.
The Smet Development Foundation and others involved in restarting the paper looked outside the community for both advice and training for Kingsbury Journal volunteers.
A group that we hired out in Rhode Island, Creative Circle Media, have just been instrumental in helping train all of our volunteers.
Nancy and Bob Montross have been very active in Smet development efforts, and they're among the volunteers who write articles for the paper now and again.
I love it. I mean, I do. Right now, we're kind of semi-retired, so it kind of gives us something to do, fills in some hours, and I like to stay connected with the community.
For some, the newspaper is a symbol of optimism and faith that rural communities can survive and maybe thrive.
I think there's too many around here that just want to see Smet be progressive, and I think it'll stay that way. I think the future looks bright for us. It really does.
The paper is a perfect example, I believe.
The paper is making enough money to support itself, and circulation appears to be growing. The Kingsbury Journal's online edition has a design as contemporary as any of the larger news sites, and just as it has been for decades, the local paper is still available on newsstands all over town.
A few years ago, and with a lead gift from Lyle Signs, the community worked hard to raise another $4 million and built the Smet Event and Wellness Center. It's a gathering space for fitness, to see a performance from the stage, or be inside and look out and watch the Bulldogs play football on a cold Friday night. Coming up next, Nate Weck takes us to Viborg to meet Shane Andersen. He's no stranger to hard work either, and he's quite comfortable on stage and in the rodeo arena.
I get very emotional because he has grown so much over the years. He came from this little kid that had wanting nothing to do with rodeo and went into being incredible at everything, rodeo and all of his sports. So we've been so proud of him. I mean, we're proud of all of our kids, but I just have seen him grow so much over the years that I know he's going to do good things in the future with rodeo and his job and everything.
Throughout my high school career, I've been in chorus. I did not do band. I never have been in band. That's the one thing I didn't do. I went out for cross country a year. I played football, basketball, track, and I also did one act play.
Shane Andersen just graduated from Viborg Hurley this spring. While he's a multi-sport athlete, the sport Shane will continue with in college is rodeo.
It means a lot. It's been in our family for years. And personally, me, I didn't rodeo till my 8th grade year. It wasn't something I was interested in. And every year from 5th to 8th grade, my dad would be like, "Oh, you entering the 4-H rodeo?" And I'd say, "Yes, I will," to make him happy. But, and every time I did it, it just got more fun. And it was something that I enjoyed doing. And going into my freshman year, I knew it was something I wanted to do.
Outside of rodeo, Shane saw significant success in high school in track, basketball, and football as well.
Shane, since he was a kid, has been a goer. He's just a hard worker.
A perfect season and a state championship for Viborg Hurley.
So all the hard work and hundreds of hours that I put in and they put in, it paid off, and it was absolutely amazing. And I obviously could not have done it without Shane. There were so many times last season where things weren't necessarily going our way in a game and a play needed to be made, and boom, there he is, making the play.
Taken down, and who else but Mr. Andersen, Shane Andersen in the backfield.
Shane has given each sport he's ever been in 100%. With rodeo, it's no different. His Uncle Bill was also a big influence, so much that Shane decided to follow his uncle in being a steer wrestler.
Yeah, right there, Shane. There you go.
The reason I enjoyed it is my brothers, they never did it. Seth and Wyatt, my dad, they never steer wrestled. My Uncle Bill, he's the only one that steer wrestled, and I knew that if I started it, I'd have a good person teaching me the things I need to know and the right technique.
The Andersen family rodeo arena lies 3 miles north of Viborg. It was established in 1994 by Shane's grandparents, Gary and Linda. From there, a tradition of rodeo was born.
With 8 kids in the family, we didn't all get to go do the rodeo thing, so the older ones stayed around, and I was the first one to kind of go out and do the high school rodeo. And then the youngest sibling out of the 8 ended up being in high school at the same time as the oldest niece, so it kind of really kept going for quite a few years. Our kids have been there 12 years, and since my brothers and sisters started too, I think we're looking at probably 26 years. Somebody's been at the South Dakota State Finals, and they were in Rapid City, Huron, Belle Fourche, and now this year Fort Pierce, so we've been blessed to go to all that stuff.
See if he can do a little better this morning. Good form right there for Andersen.
Yeah, it's been a family affair, and that arena's been built for whoever wants to come. And my dad passed away few years back, and we put his ashes out there, so he's a part with us. So yeah, it has been fun times, and we'll keep on going.
For Shane, he plans to follow this path as well. He will attend college at Mitchell Tech and compete in rodeo there. And while Shane is now in his upper teens, his legacy with rodeo in South Dakota may just be getting started.
He's a great leader, a role model to family, friends, teammates, younger classmen. He would give the shirt off his back for anybody.
Even after college, I plan on, just especially around the summer when more of them come around, but traveling to rodeos, even out west, they're always fun to go to. And, my plan is just to, keep the family tradition going and keep riding and having fun, I guess.
Now let's go 20 miles east of Smet to Arlington and meet Lisa Casper. She's living life one day at a time. She was born with a heart defect but received a heart transplant in 1990. Lisa has had 30 years to reflect on her gift of life.
Despite a lifetime of heart issues, Lisa Casper has the optimism that comes with hitting a remarkable milestone. This year, the Arlington woman celebrates 30 years of life after a heart transplant at age 21 at the University of Minnesota Medical Center. It's a length of time that none of her doctors promised. One even told her to expect far less.
I remember at my age 30, I had a doctor who said I would never make it to age 40, and I kind of would like to talk to him right now.
Casper, who will be 52 in October, was born with a bad heart. It was twisted and pumped backwards. She saw a cardiologist when she was 6 months old, and at age 10, she had open heart surgery to replace a mitral valve. She was a 21-year-old newlywed when she got sick enough that her doctor told her she needed a heart transplant.
I remember thinking, oh man, I don't feel so good, and out of breath, retaining a lot of fluid, tired. I went to the university just to see what was going on, and they says, yeah, your left side of your heart is going downhill very quickly.
After a lot of thought and financial planning that included her husband Troy and parents Gary and Patty Duncan of Flandreau, she decided to pursue a transplant.
Because my husband and I had nothing. We ended up having to sell everything we owned, pretty much.
Her insurance company eventually covered the transplant, but at first the company wasn't sure it would because it had never had a request for one before. Financially and otherwise, the hospital needed to be assured she was making a decision that she could stick with for the rest of her life.
Because it is a commitment. It isn't just the battle isn't just going to be fought today, it's going to be fought every day.
In December of 1989, Casper moved to the Twin Cities to live with her aunt so she could be close to the hospital when she was matched with a new heart. Casper clearly remembers the day she received the call.
Going to garage sales was our thing, and I was picking up a puzzle at the time, and my beeper went off, and I now have done that and framed that. It's my lucky puzzle, but my beeper went off. I had to go call them to confirm that it wasn't a false alarm. They told me to come to the hospital.
It was Friday, July 13th, 1990. She was getting her second chance at life, and 2 days later would become the 236th person to receive a heart transplant at the university, a number that has grown in the 30 years since to more than 900. The recovery process was long and difficult. She was in a coma for a week and had a long hospitalization.
It's such a trauma to your body to go through that it just takes a long time to kind of get into things. Even at being age 21, it still took a toll.
These days, Casper runs her own custom tart making business in Lake Preston. She's never had an issue with rejection, takes 10 prescriptions a day, and has an annual medical exam where doctors look at the function of her heart. She tries to eat healthy, avoiding salt and fat. Her work doing industrial sewing keeps her active and busy.
No, the doctors I have right now are really positive and work really hard at longevity. And I remember coming home and told my husband that he better start taking better care of himself because I could outlive him. I know that I don't really have long-term goals. Like I never really have set myself, okay, let's do a 5-year plan. I kind of live day by day. Let's see what happens.
A few miles from Smet is Lake Thompson. It's one of the twin lakes. It was dry during the Dust Bowl, but in the early 90s it came back and now covers more than 16,000 acres. Outdoor recreation is a popular draw all across South Dakota. Seth Tupper has the story of cabin owners who over generations have been fortunate to spend their leisure time vacationing in the Black Hills National Forest.
Way up in the high granite and tucked in among the pine forests and meadows of the Black Hills, there's a curiosity: privately owned vacation cabins on public land. They're decades old, some more than a century. Some are far off the beaten path at the end of rutted 2-track trails. Many are small and rustic with plain brown exteriors. Some lack plumbing, running water, and cell phone service. One of the oldest is the Durst cabin in Custer State Park. Members of the Durst logging clan made their home in the cabin several years after it began life as a bunkhouse in 1911. The state established Custer State Park in 1919. The Durst cabin stayed in the family, even though the land under and around it became part of the park. The cabin's now a family gathering place. 7 generations have enjoyed it.
My eldest aunt, Naomi, was born in the house over on Lame Johnny Creek. Then they moved over here when she was 2. My next aunt, Amy, was born while I lived here. My mother was born while I lived here. My Uncle Harry was born while I lived here. Ashes of several of those people have been spread here. So it goes a long way back, and there's a chance to connect with those earlier generations.
Eventually, the state invited more people to build cabins in the park. Then in 1966, lawmakers revoked permission for new cabins. After a legal fight, the existing ones were allowed to stay. About 35 are still there. Many have passed down through generations of families, but some have changed hands. Brad and Connie McKinney were living in Nebraska in 1991 when they saw a classified in a weekly paper advertising a cabin for sale in the Black Hills. Connie needed some convincing.
I think there's some trepidation on Connie's part that with two kids in diapers and no running water and an outhouse and such, that maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to do. But I was maybe the pusher of that decision, and I think you came to appreciate that.
I thank him all the time. Literally, I say, I am so glad you didn't let me moan and groan. I was worried, I was just going back to work and juggling lots of things in my life, and I thought, wow, I don't know, but oh my goodness, it was the best decision that we ever made.
With their kids, the McKinneys spent years' worth of weekends on what they called French Creek time. They fished and waded in the creek below the cabin, hiked and explored the park, and snowshoed and slid around on the frozen creek in the winters. When the kids grew up, one got married at the cabin. The Don and Stephanie King family has similar stories. Their Custer State Park cabin has been in Don's family since the 1950s.
We say every time we come up that we're just blessed.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, we are. We feel very fortunate. Yeah. We feel fortunate to be able to share it, with friends and family as well. Like I said, it's just a rich place. There's a great vibe, and it's just special.
Yeah, we know that not everybody gets to do what we've been able to do, and we have been blessed and feel very lucky.
Beyond the park, there's a similar program in the Black Hills National Forest, which is home to about 160 private cabins. Like Custer State Park, the Forest Service stopped issuing new permits long ago, but the old cabins remain. Mary Smirka of Custer is restoring one of those cabins. She's recently retired, but she bought the cabin during a hectic career as a hospital lab tech.
You need a break. You need a place that's so different and so uplifting, really. And the natural, surroundings are helpful. It helps you recuperate from that job, I think. And I highly recommend it to any medical workers if they want it. Get out, get away, get outside, and see that the world is different than what you're having to deal with.
Cabin owners in Custer State Park and the National Forest make annual lease payments ranging from around $500 to $2,000. But the official who manages the Black Hills National Forest Cabin Program says it's never been about the money. It was started to get people out enjoying and valuing the forests they collectively own. In other words, to create partners in conservation.
The cabin owners having that personal connection, I think really that was the intent all along. To have a personal connection with the natural environment and the forest itself. I think that's, for a Forest Service employee and looking back, early 1900s, I think that was pretty progressive. They were looking ahead, and I think that's pretty neat.
If you don't have a historic cabin in the Black Hills, check out Camp Remington. We have information for you on our website. And if you're here in Smet, take a tour of the historic Surveyor's House. Finally, Melissa Hammersma-Sievers takes us to a potluck meal in Clear Lake, where they pay as much attention to how they prepare a dish as they do to which recipe they'll use.
Not far from the boat dock of Clear Lake is the site for fine dining, a non-exclusive dinner club that meets each month over the summer for a unique potluck in Ulven City Park.
My kid's piano teacher invited us to the group.
You get all kinds of different people now and then, but it's about the same crowd every month.
Normally it's about 8 to 10, and we've been as high as 30. We have families that hit 1 or 2 a year. The Holtz and us are regulars.
Gathered are folks who not only enjoy food, but a particular mode of preparation. This is the Dutch oven gathering. Heated by fire, coal, or wood embers, Dutch ovens are heavy cast iron kettles with a close-fitting lid. Carrie Krieger says everyone is interested in the resulting meal. For this group, the journey is just as important.
I like the process of cooking outside over a fire. I'm self-taught. I just learned it myself. This is how we eat at my house most of the summer. It's just sitting around with friends and family.
Carrie Krieger and her friend Carrie Holt were both scout leaders with a shared interest in cooking with Dutch ovens. He enjoys the simplicity of the method. With simple ingredients, a diverse range of recipes can be prepared.
It's an outdoor cooking. You can use wood for heat, you can use charcoal for heat, and the ingredients generally are very easy to pack in and pack out because they're non-perishable stuff. Generally is what you use for the cooking. We've yet to find a recipe we don't like, and we've yet to be burned, if you understand what I'm saying. Everything has always been good.
Getting burned might be the thing that discourages people from trying to cook with the Dutch oven. There are no modern gauges or dials to adjust heat. Cooks have to increase the temperature manually. There is definitely a learning curve, but this group is willing to share pointers and help each other along.
We got a Dutch oven and came out, and this is our first time with the group. So we're excited to see how it turns out. We found a recipe and went with it. We're just winging it. So we're making a bratwurst dish. It's bratwurst with potatoes and onions in a mustard and apple juice sauce. We're getting lots of tips as we go here from the seasoned experts. Fire control, where to put the pot. Coals on the lid's a big part of it. It's not so much how much fire you have, but where you put it. So
Sheila Pitts has been cooking and dining with this group since they first gathered. She was new to this style of food preparation and continues to improve her technique.
Today, I would say that I got to learn my timing better. Mine's been done for a while, but it's just a practice thing.
Sometimes you burn a little bit on the bottom, but that's okay. I like that too,
These campfire cooks have years of experience to draw from. Some of their implements are even more seasoned, once owned by mothers and grandmothers that came before.
I really love my cast iron from Donnie's mom, just because I know that Donnie's mom gave it to me. She said that it came from her parents.
Communing with friends in a park, cooking dinner, it appeals to all of the senses. One could easily imagine settlers of Clear Lake doing the same.
I think that's pretty much the niche crowd, is your people who enjoy being outside and the old way of doing things. Because when I look at Dutch oven cooking, I think this is what my grandparents did.
There is a standing invitation to anyone wanting to join the supper club. Even if you don't use a Dutch oven, just bring something to share at the table. You might learn something, and you'll certainly end the night with a full belly.
We've told people, come watch us cook. You may not get a tutorial with us standing behind a table, but you can definitely watch what we're doing, and I don't have any secrets.
Appetizers, entrees, desserts, anything can be made in a Dutch oven. Cookbooks are dedicated to the subject, and recipes populate many social media feeds.
My hardest point is, what should I make?
This time, Krieger shared enchiladas and cake. Holt and his family put together festival chicken and rice. The Dutch Oven Gathering is an opportunity to try new recipes out. Sometimes meals take on a theme.
We did a Mexican theme last year where we had a lot of fajitas and tacos and Indian fry bread, and then the breakfast one always seems to be a good theme.
As the buffet is laid out and plates are filled, chatter reaches a fever pitch. It's dinner time. There are substantial pauses between lines of conversation as folks busy themselves with eating. With stomachs full, banter can resume as friends enjoy each other's company on a lovely summer evening.
Thanks for coming along for Dakota Life from Smet. It's the little town on the prairie and so much more. We'll be traveling to other communities, so let us know what makes your corner of South Dakota special at sdpb.org/Dakota Life. There's more Dakota Life on social media, and check out the latest Dakota Life digital edition on our website. For all of us here at South Dakota Public Broadcasting, I'm Larry Rohr.